Good evening and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Total Nonstop Racing League here at Phoenix Raceway. I'm Bob Giaquinto, and tonight's race is going to be a fun one. Long race here tonight at Phoenix, and a couple things just to watch out for here at Phoenix, as you see every time any NASCAR series comes to Phoenix. Watch out for the dog leg. Do you cut it? Do you not cut it? Watch out for the guys who are cutting it. And if you're on the bottom, just be prepared for the guy on the outside to assume you're cutting it as well. Another one to keep an eye out for heading into turn 3. Watch where your braking spots are. It gets very, very narrow towards the inside of the racetrack. So make sure you keep an eye out for that as you're heading along this 1 mile oval. A couple of things to keep an eye out for you tonight is the championship points. One more race to go after this one, and this is a crazy one. 17 races down, one more race to go. Anthony DeBarro is your points leader. John Daniels 37 points back behind him. Philip Scott 97 back. Tim Johnston with an outside shot, 196 points back, but pretty much everyone else, barring anything super wild and crazy to happen, looking to me like they are going to be just a little bit out of contention for this season. Taking a look so far, 13 of our 13 drivers have shown a time up on the board. Anthony DeBarro is the fastest. John Cannizzaro Jr. there in second, tying actually for second. John Daniels, Jamar Dumas tying for third as well. Philip Scott in there fifth. So a very, very tightly packed field for tonight. Here is Anthony DeBarro. Let's jump on board with him for a lap around Phoenix. Braking here into turns 1 and 2. You can run pretty much anywhere. You can run down on the flat. You can run up higher. Wherever you want to run, you can here at Phoenix. Diving off into turn number 3 and 4 right now, getting all the way on the throttle up against the wall. And there you can cut the dog leg wherever you want, all the way down to pit wall, all the way up top. Wherever you want to go, you can run it. But with that, you can see the clock on the screen has gone to 0, and we're going to switch over to qualifying now. Anthony DeBarro, fastest in practice. And now we'll switch over to see who exactly is going to be fastest for qualifying right now. DeBarro is out there right now. Same with John Cannizzaro. Cannizzaro is going to be our first driver to head out onto the racetrack. Cannizzaro out of contention for the championship, but still out there to say, hey, if I ran everything, I'd be here too, bud. Through turns 1 and 2, the old turns 3 and 4. Only 5-minute qualifying session, so we'll see who all is going to be able to get out there and get as many laps of practice as qualifying in as they can. So far, Cannizzaro first on the board with a 26.87. Tim Johnson, 28.49 for his first lap. Will certainly be going faster. Philip Scott goes P2 with 26.93. See Cannizzaro there going all the way down on the apron. Here's Gaston down the back straightaway. Gaston only doing a 27.51 that time through. DeBarro goes top of the board with a 26.67. Two and a half minutes left here in qualifying. DeBarro around the top. Looking to see what he can do as the 44 Danny White gets a little squirrely. As now we ride on board with the 82 of Tim Johnston. Scott Stewart over in the chat saying, we want the 4-car. Your wish is my command. There is Adam Stewart. 27.66 on the board. Let's see if he can improve this lap. Out of turn number 4 across the line. Does a 27.46. Still good there for P11. Two drivers have yet to put up a lap time. That would be Johnny Williams as well as Max Cost. Stewart comes across the line that time. He does put in a better lap, 27.27. He'll go over Schue. Here's one of our championship contenders, the 02 of John Daniels. Daniels so far third fastest. With only a couple of seconds left, he'll be able to get one more in if he so chooses. Crossed the line that time by, he did a 26.85. That was his best lap of the session. Let's see what he can do here. Trying to get all of it here into turn 3. Exiting turn 4, across the line. Slower that time. It was only a 27.19. Here's Philip Scott to cross the line. Scott goes third with a 26.73. Tim Johnson, the only driver out on track for the moment, as the clock does hit 0. And we'll be getting ourselves ready to race here momentarily. Drivers slowly getting themselves out onto pit road. And as we do that, let's take a look here at the starting lineup for tonight's race. Total Nonstop Racing League here at Phoenix. Anthony DeBarro, your pole sitter, with a 26.656. John Canizaro Jr. just less than a tenth of a second behind him. 0.058 seconds. To be precise. Row number 2 is Philip Scott and John Daniels. Tim Johnston, Danny White in row number 3. Jamar Dumas, Jonathan Gaston, row number 4. Ace House and Adam Stewart in row number 5. Row number 6 has Jason Schue and Max Cost. Johnny Williams rounding out our 13-car field for this evening. Well, everyone just about on pit road. Just waiting for the 63 and 43 to enter the track, and then we will be ready to go. Tyler Avery saying, new Phoenix, single tier. I do very much miss the old Phoenix. However, new Phoenix does sometimes have its positives there. Sometimes I wish they wouldn't let them cut the dog leg just to see the chaos, but I also appreciate the 15, 16 wide field that they got going on here. And just like that, the pace car is off. Field under the command of the 27 of Anthony DeBarro, our points leader, only by 37 points. Can DeBarro hold on? There's the 0-2 of John Daniels, his closest competition. Field slowly moving turn 3 through turn 3 and 4. Green flag in the air. And we're racing here at Phoenix, 150 laps, 150 miles. Philip Scott all the way down to the bottom. He's going to cut the dog leg. And the field will start to get themselves organized here through turns 1 and 2. Cannizzaro, big loose there. DeBarro able to hold him off for now, but here comes Cannizzaro. He's going to peek down to the inside. They're side by side, nose just to the inside corner. Can't quite do anything there. And DeBarro leads lap number 1. Great battle brewing right now for the lead. Cannizzaro takes a peek to the outside, trying to get a run. Can't quite get that one done there. Now he's all over the back bumper of DeBarro. Cannizzaro to the inside. Here comes John Cannizzaro to the point. Let's take another look at that pass. As it all started coming out of turn number 2 down the back straightaway. Cannizzaro just got it up and underneath the 77, or the 27 rather. He's able to get away and rolling. So we're 5 laps into this race. Cannizzaro starting to drive away. DeBarro now under the pressure from the 99 of Philip Scott. Into the old turns 1 and 2 section. Scott cuts all the way down low to the dog leg. He's going to be able to get right to the bumper of the 27. Not able to get side by side with him. But nothing quite going right there. Here's John Daniels, our second place points runner so far. As I mentioned, DeBarro, Scott, and Daniels really the only 3 drivers with a shot at taking the title next week in Homestead. Here comes Johnston to the inside. Able to get around Daniels well, maybe not so much, as Daniels now sticks to the high line. They're side by side, putting on a great show for the fans. As always, if you like what you see, make sure you give us a follow. You can subscribe to us on YouTube and on Twitch. Like the video and share and let everyone watch here. One more race to go after this one to decide the champion. We're doing it at Homestead next Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. Speed Xfinity Series is on the Thanksgiving break, so no race for them tomorrow. Tabletop Trio Podcast also on a little Thanksgiving break. Oh, Daniels gets in the wall just a little bit. That's going to open up the door for the 82 of Johnston to catch back up. Not quite able to get there just yet. But he's definitely got some pressure there from Johnston behind him. Don't push or else on the back of Daniels, and yeah, that makes sense with the wedge shape that these cars have. Getting underneath there is really going to lift up that back bumper and just send him around. Pick the rears off, the wheels up front, not a whole lot of stability, and they're going to go around each and every single time. Now it's Johnston trying to take the high line. Meanwhile, out front, Cannizzaro driven away now to about 0.7 of a second lead. DeBarro still in check. But that red and white machine starting to fade off ever so slightly. Everyone else right now minding their own P's and Q's. All just about single file. We got a good battle towards the back of the pack in 8th. Adam Stewart putting some pressure in that Welts Clothing Co. machine. Make sure to check out Welts Clothing online at weltsclothing.com. They're a fantastic sponsor for us last week at the Talladega doubleheader. Definitely want to go out and support those who support the Total Nonstop Racing League. Stewart starting to fall back ever so slightly from Ace House. Jonathan Gaston catching up, just about 0.5 of a second back. Danny White starting to pick up a little bit on the O2 of Daniels as well. Great looking jack machine. Nice flat black with a little metallic chrome look to it. Very reminiscent of the old Clint Boyer paint scheme, but objectively better, in my humble opinion. There is Jamar Dumas as well. Started 7th, running 7th. But right now, the field all under the command of the 77 of Canizaro. And that lead has started to shrink ever so slightly. DeBarro now about 0.4 of a second back. As you see the onlookers there behind the track on Rattlesnake Hill. Getting treated to a fantastic show this evening. Real quick, I want to send just a quick thought and my condolences to my color commentator, Joe, going through some family issues right now. So, give a good thought, give some good vibes, or however you feel to Joe and his family. They would absolutely appreciate it. But meanwhile, this battle's starting to heat up for the lead. The gap has shrunk now to about 0.3 of a second. Here comes DeBarro taking a look to the inside. Can't quite do it there. Going to try to get a drive off. Looks like it's a little difficult to get the power down coming out of turn 2. And out of 4. And whoa, look at how quick DeBarro was able to close the gap on Canizaro. Wish we could do a double box right now because we got a great battle brewing here for the lead and for third as Tim Johnston hot on the heels of Philip Scott. But we're going to keep this battle right here. As now Canizaro goes up top, DeBarro down low. They're side by side. Canizaro still keeps the upper hand for now as we jump on board with the 77. Big lunge there for DeBarro. He's going to jump in front, momentarily at least, as Canizaro is able to fight back on the outside yet again. Great battle brewing here for the lead. This battle's starting to cool down a little bit. Let's take a look at this fight now between Philip Scott and Tim Johnston. Scott trying to put the pressure on Johnson. He gets a little sideways there. Might have actually made some contact with the wall. Now Johnson slides up the track, and we have a yellow. First yellow of the race. Let's take a look what happened. Looks like, oh no, trouble with the 4 of Adam Stewart. Stewart just a little slow there. He got tagged from behind from the 72 of Gaston. Although not a whole lot of damage. So that is certainly a plus for him. Let's jump on board here with the 4 to see what happened. Yeah, it looked like the 72 was just kind of hoping the 4 would get rolling again. Just a little slow. And unfortunately, he goes around, but looks like not a whole lot of damage for those cars, so everyone should be okay. As pit stops getting ready to take place, everyone heads down pit road. And we'll take a look to see who all is doing what. Canizaro, big win off of pit road, but a long pit stop for the 27 of DeBarro. He goes in second, loses 4 spots in the process. Well, that was certainly interesting. As now the field catches their way up behind the pace car. As the field gets the 1 to go. $117 laps remaining here at Phoenix. Pace car pulling in. And a great stop there by Tim Johnson and his crew. Johnston was in third, fighting with Philip Scott. Able to pick up a spot to now be in second. As the field gets through the restart zone, green flag is out, and we're racing again here at Phoenix. Looks like DeBarro and Daniels both take the shortcut down, cutting the dog leg. Canizaro able to hold off Daniels for now. Here comes the 27 of DeBarro, able to maybe stick his nose in. Can't quite get there. But DeBarro picks up a couple of spots here through turns 1 and 2. Now into 3 and 4. This is where Canizaro has been able to drive away ever so slightly from the field. Let's see if he's going to be able to do that one again. He does. At least for the most part. Through 1 and 2, here comes Canizaro. Though the scoring bug says he's on pit road, very clearly he is not. As this lead opens up to about 0.3 of a second. A little bit further back, Jamar Dumas all over the back bumper of Philip Scott. Dumas takes the shortcut, not quite able to get any ground gain there. But now he's going to slide up towards the top. Take a look here. Everyone just about the same amount of time, but take a look at that DeBarro in third. The reason he lost so many spots, had a 16.5-second pit stop, compared to the others at about 14.5. So definitely a little bit longer of a stop, the longest actually on pit road, aside from Jonathan Gaston, who had about 47 seconds of just damage mending. 112 laps to go here at Phoenix. Total Nonstop Racing here on the Tabletop Trio Podcast Network. If you so feel inclined, make sure you give us a follow, subscribe, and all the fun stuff. Really do appreciate it. We got some really cool content coming up over the next few weeks. Going to be heading to PAX Unplugged, getting a bunch of interviews with board game makers and tabletop RPG creators and enthusiasts, and it's just going to be a blast. So make sure you keep it locked here to tabletoptrio.com and all of our different social medias just to see how it all comes out. We're going to have a ton of fun with that. Canizaro still leading the field, about half a second gap over the O2 of John Daniels. Again, coming into tonight's race, the points very tight. Anthony DeBarro is your points leader, 37-point lead over the O2 here of John Daniels. Third place, Philip Scott, who is currently running in the 5th position. Philip 97 points back. Tim Johnston all but eliminated, 200 points behind. And the reason I say that is if we take a look here at the point structure, 122 points for a win, 119 and so on for second, third, fourth. You get 5 points when you lead a lap, 5 points for leading the most laps, and then another 5 points when you qualify on the pole. So DeBarro already has those 5 bonus points. Daniel's trying hard to at least lead a lap. If he can't lead a lap, I'm sure he's sitting there saying, all right, best bet, I beat DeBarro. Canizaro can go and lead them all if he wants. Just let me get 1 lap and I'm happy. So Daniel's putting on some pressure to Canizaro, but he's fallen back a bit. 0.8 of a second, then another second back to DeBarro, who's got a mirror full of Tim Johnston. And then a little bit further back is this battle. 44 of White. Less than a car length now behind Jamar Dumas. White going to try to run the top. Likely going to cut down low right here, and he does, but not quite able to get enough. And oh, big slide there for White. He's going to have to gather that one up. Let's take another quick look at that one here on the Tabletop Trio replay. There is just a little too much gas. Had to cut that one sideways. Now he's lost just a little bit of time. A little further back, we've got a good gaggle of cars here between Ace House, Jason Schue, and the 72 of Jonathan Gaston. Gaston and Schue both running in the top 10. House joined us a little bit later on in the season, so not currently running for the championship, just out running, picking up laps. The 2025 season will be starting up usually after the new year. Well, will be starting up after the new year. Still haven't quite figured out what version of car we're running, whether we're running Xfinity, the Gen 4 again, next gens. If you want to join TNR, make sure you check out the description. There is a link to join TNR there. And you can put in your vote for what you want to see ran next week or next season for 2025. That'll be broadcast here yet again on the Tabletop Trio Podcast Network. So make sure you follow along for that. Schue running the bottom, really using that yellow line to his advantage, just trying to get the car to turn. Couldn't quite get anything going there. Well, meanwhile, Danny White starting to catch back up again to Jamar Dumas. Right now, I think this is the best opportunity for White if he can get up to the bumper of Dumas. Not going to be able to yet. He backs off a little bit, trying to get a good exit. You can really feel how the car does not want to stay going in the right direction there. It's so hard to do just to get the power on coming out of turn 2 like that. Not a whole lot of banking to begin with, but all that banking goes away. And even if you have just a little too much wheel into it, the car is going to want to swap ends every single time. That time by, they ran even. 28.151 for both of them. Here comes White, though, putting on the pressure. Just over a third of this race complete. 56 laps or 55 laps completed on lap 56 running right now. That time by, Dumas was about a tenth slower. Here comes White to the inside. Danny White sticks a nose down low. Dumas goes all the way up to the top, trying to get himself as much momentum as he can. But it looks like this time White gonna be able to get to him. Little crossover move, might have made some contact there. As now White trying to drive away from that 28 Texaco Haviland machine. Meanwhile, out front, that gap has shrunk ever so slightly, as the top four all less than a second behind Cannizzaro. Daniels half a second back, DeBarro 0.6, Johnston 0.8. DeBarro grabs the wall. Here comes Daniels. Cannizzaro was the one who grabbed the wall. DeBarro now putting the pressure on Daniels. just a great battle overall here tonight. Top 4 drivers, less than 3/4 of a second separating the 4. Big slide there coming out from the 0-2. DeBarro there to the inside. Both DeBarro and Daniels trying to get something going, not able to do anything. Here comes DeBarro now to the inside. He's going to lunge it in. Daniels going to have to stay strong on the outside. Use up just a little bit more tire to do so. Oh, they almost make contact. Daniels doing everything he can to try to block the 27. His biggest rival right now on the racetrack. Cannizzaro just happy to look in the mirror and drive away. Here comes DeBarro. He's going to slide up. Almost contact. Some exciting racing now as here comes Daniels to the inside of Cannizzaro. Blimp cam here. Oh, Daniels sideways. He'll regroup, but not until he loses 2 spots. Take a look at that one again here on the replay. Just a big slide there from the 0-2. That let both DeBarro and Johnston get ahead of him. Still has not hurt him too badly, though. Still all within a second. Philip Scott about a second behind these guys. DeBarro now putting more pressure on Cannizzaro. These two have been glued onto each other's bumpers all season long. And had Cannizzaro not missed the first couple of races this year, he'd be right in this title hunt as well. Four-car battle for the lead still. Now actually more of a 3-car battle, all within half a second. DeBarro down low. Coming up on lap traffic here. I believe that's the 4 of Adam Stewart just in front of them. Now here's DeBarro. Cannizzaro is going to have the momentum. DeBarro the quickest way around the track on the inside. They're side by side. Where does Johnston play into this role? Nothing so far for him. as now the leaders get around the 4 of Stewart. Great job there by Stewart to just pull over and say, all right, you guys have at it. I'm going to stay up here. DeBarro slides up again. Little bobble there from the 82 of Johnston. Just some incredible racing here tonight at Phoenix. 3 drivers nose to tail. Here comes Tim Johnston taking a peek to the inside of DeBarro. Johnston not able to do anything there, but meanwhile, here's Daniels and Philip Scott getting into a good battle. Meanwhile, another fight for the lead. DeBarro to the inside. Cannizzaro outside. Oh, they make contact. Around goes Cannizzaro, and we have our second yellow of the night. Some great, hard, clean racing. Definitely not intentional. But now we're going to have to re-rack and do this one all over again. Let's take a look here from the back bumper of the 82, or the 77 rather. Oh, right there. Yeah, the 27 got going when the 77 didn't. And unfortunately, that one not going to work. Let's take another quick replay here. This time we'll jump on board with DeBarro. Yeah, he just thought the 77 was going to get going, just like how we saw with the first wreck when it came to Stewart and Gaston. But meanwhile, Johnston out first from pit road. Actually, no, it looks like Johnston and Gaston did not pit. Now they're coming down. So that'll relinquish the lead to this guy, John Daniels, and he comes within 5 points. Now that gap back even, technically, before they add in any other points between he and DeBarro. Those 5 bonus points obviously are going to wash out because both have now received those 5 bonus points. But we're likely getting the 2 to green here. Philip Scott having himself a good solid night. Started third, currently running second. Two drivers still on pit road at the moment. Now it's just Jamar Dumas. Will Dumas be able to get going before the pace car does? He does. 1 to go now before the field goes back green. Daniels in control. Philip Scott on his outside. Row number 2 has the 27 of DeBarro and the 44 of Danny White. Row 3 has Ace House and Jason Schue. Tim Johnston in row number 4 alongside the wild child of John Canizaro Jr. But out front, field getting the 1 to go. Now green flag back in the air. Daniels all the way down to the inside to block. DeBarro all the way down even further. Daniels, he's going to run the middle. DeBarro down low. Daniels sideways at a 2. Down the back straightaway now. Daniels is going to block. He knows every single one of these points is important. And he has to keep DeBarro behind him if he wants a shot at the championship next weekend. DeBarro to the inside again. He's going to cut the dog leg. Now he's going to go all the way down low. Daniels sideways, almost gets up into the wall. He's going to get a great drive off, but still not able to get around him is DeBarro. Canizaro started back in 8th-ish on that last restart. He's already up to 4th. Now Daniels and Kanaan and DeBarro still blocking one another. Do we see the chrome horn? No, but here comes DeBarro to the inside yet again. Will he clear Daniels? Not quite. They're still side by side. Some absolutely amazing racing going on here tonight. Daniels into the wall. DeBarro to the point. Now here's Canizaro putting the pressure on Philip Scott. Top 4 again, all within 1 second. Everyone here pit last on lap 75. That's the halfway mark in this. Three laps to go. Now the lead is opened up tremendously for DeBarro. As we see her on the blimp cam, DeBarro just about a second now over Daniels. And that gap is closing between Daniels and the 77. Good run there for Canizaro coming out of turn number 2. Down the back straightaway. Canizaro tries to stick his nose in, using that yellow line as a bit of an aid to help him turn. He'll cut the dog leg, little bobble there. But Canizaro is there. Can he get around Daniels, or is Daniels going to use that momentum on the high line to get him through? Now they're side by side in the turn down the backstretch into turn 3. Almost contact there. They're going to keep it green. Canizaro clears. Daniels has a nose in there. Philip Scott looking on, licking his chops. Daniels trying all the way down low. Daniels actually coming down pit road. Interesting strategy call there as John Daniels pits. I wonder if Daniels is going to try to go the rest of the way now on this stop and try to force everyone else's hand. But it is a very long pit road, though it's quite a bit of a shortcut. As Daniel still has yet to get to his box, now he does. And he's down and away, 9-second stop. So there was no penalty or anything like that, but now Daniels has a bit of a hole to work his way through. Taking fuel only. Meanwhile, DeBarro has opened up a 2.1, almost 2.2 second gap over this guy. That's the 77 of John Canizaro Jr. He's got Philip Scott behind him, as well as Danny White just peeking into the screen there momentarily. As you see here, this is the gap from the fan cam. DeBarro there just underneath your scoring bug. Can really get a good view of where everyone exactly is on the racetrack. You can look to see where your favorite driver is on the track map here. But here comes Philip Scott taking a peek to the inside of Canizaro. Not able to do anything yet. Clear evening, plenty of grip out there on the racetrack for these drivers. As White snags the wall just a little bit. You can really see how Canizaro is working on that wheel hard to the right or to the left. It is mirrored for whatever reason. DeBarro just driving away in this. as we're coming up on 50 laps remaining. We've definitely got a good one here for you, as this is a good battle. Further back, we got another good battle, this one for 7th. Adam Stewart, Ace House fighting, teammates. Both out of the Ace Motorsports stable. Jonathan Gaston in there, as well as the 3 of Jason Schue. So we got little 4-car pockets pretty much all over the racetrack. DeBarro, the outlier. Stewart really coming alive here towards the end of the season, getting used to the car, getting used to the tracks, getting used to everyone here racing as well. Had 2 great showings in the Welts Clothing doubleheader last weekend at Talladega, until he got caught up in the craziness that was going on, especially at the end of race number 2, where I believe his car was in the air upside down and flipping as he crossed the line. Jason Schue taking some really interesting lines. Let's take a look here. Out of 1 and 2, down the back straightaway. He'll close up to the 72 of Jonathan Gaston, and watch how much he cuts the dog leg here. Of course he doesn't this time, after the last few laps. Let's real quickly show what had happened there. Looks like Ace House gets around Adam Stewart. Take a look at that replay. Stewart just running the high line. House swoops in. Stewart closes the gap and gets a great drive off. Here's the Jason Schue run all the way down below the line, crosses the pit exit line. That is completely legal here at Phoenix, I'm sure much to the chagrin of some drivers. And now all 4 drivers fighting for 7th. House is in there, Gaston and Schue, all trying to take the position from the 4 of Adam Stewart. Not missing anything up front, as this is all the best battle on the racetrack. Some 17.5 seconds back, 3 wide almost, as they cross the line. A little bit of contact there. House had to get out of it. That'll allow Stewart to open up about a car length over him. Schue trying the high line. Jonathan Gaston just sitting there saying, all right, guys, don't wreck. Just let me through, please. Gap out front, opening up almost 4 seconds now. DeBarro over Cannizzaro. Philip Scott, Tim Johnston having themselves a great fight right now too. Throw Danny White in there too. Almost 40 laps to go. This is the battle to see who gets interviewed. Johnston has it. Scott and White trying to pick up 3rd. Meanwhile, this battle here for 7th still raging on. Stewart falls back a little bit. He's going to let House and Gaston get by him. Oh, big loose there from House. Great onboard shots here from our friends at Track Cams 4 Gourmets. Check them out in the link in the description below. Canizaro heads down pit road. We're going to see the money stop here. This could mean Daniels, if he's able to play his cards right, this could mean Daniels' strategy might be turning around and working for him. He just does not want to see any yellows. As long as they can keep it green, that Daniels strategy could be pretty good, but only a 9-second stop. I don't know if he's going to have the tire for it. Jason Schue on pit road now. Adam Stewart makes his way down. But right now, out front, Anthony DeBarro cakewalking away. Stewart, or Daniels rather, does stay in front of Canizaro. Though for how long still will be determined. Stewart gets back out. Looks like he was on pit road for quite a while, probably getting some damage fixed. As we're getting word that Stewart may have had a bit of an issue here getting going. Oh, a little too much gas, hard into the inside wall. But he's able to get it back up and running. That could have been disaster for John Daniels. Although if yellow were to come out right now, Daniels would be the lucky dog. There is the gap between Daniels and DeBarro. DeBarro the leader, Daniels right now currently running in 8th, 1 lap behind. Philip Scott running the top. Jason Schue trying to hustle to get around him, get his lap back, potentially. This is now Danny White makes his way down pit road. Gaston does not follow yet. 30 to go. Pit stops likely happening soon, as now DeBarro, as I say that, heads down pit road. That's going to put Daniels back on the lead lap. And for all intents and purposes, that might actually put Daniels in the lead come cycles. So there is DeBarro. Johnson and House get both get around him. Pardon me, Gaston and House. Canizaro gets around him. There's Jamar Dumas down pit road as well. So the lead now 2 seconds. Johnston over Scott. Canizaro, the first car, 1 lap down over DeBarro. So if yellow came out, this could get interesting. I mean, granted, everyone who has pit will stay out. Everyone who has not pit will be pitting. But crazier things certainly have happened. Canizaro takes his lap back from Johnson. Now here he comes down pit road. Big slide. He's able to get it slowed down. Now Johnston is on pit road with Philip Scott, our new leader. Philip Scott has a 21.5-second lead now over Jonathan Gaston. You see DeBarro in the background. DeBarro's back in 7th with this pit cycle. Scott, Gaston, and House all pit on lap 75. Daniels pit back on lap 91. And some 20 laps later, that's when the rest of these drivers came down pit road. As, oh, Philip Scott in the wall. What happened there? We have to take a look at that. As I don't know if Scott just overdrove or what happened. Let's take a look. Yeah, just overdrove, got into the wall. Very interesting as we're back live. 23 to go. Top 4. Actually, well, I say that. Now it's Canizaro back to P2. He has pit. Although he's 23.5 seconds behind the 99 of Philip Scott. Scott looking to run this thing dry. Maybe steal a yellow. But can he get it done? Canizaro backwards at one point. Back on lap 75. Now in the position to take the lead over as soon as Philip Scott pits. John Daniels will cycle back out to 2nd. Jonathan Gaston last pit on lap 76. So Gaston and Scott both on basically the same exact pit strategy here. but we will certainly see. Now a 20-second gap. Canizaro is closing. Both times Canizaro, or the last few times rather, Canizaro about 0.8 of a second almost. And that gap is growing. Well, that time by only half a second faster. Now Jonathan Gaston heads down pit road. He'll surrender third. DeBarro got around Daniels in that one too. Ace House on pit road now. This is going to be the battle for the lead. Hopefully we don't repeat what all happened on lap 75. Here comes DeBarro to the inside of Canizaro. John plays defensively. DeBarro takes a look to the high side. Now he crosses over. Here comes DeBarro. He's going to cut the dog leg. Side by side, DeBarro is going to get the spot. But not without a fight from the 77. Is Canizaro going to come back? He can't quite get the drive off that time. Canizaro right there, just about half a car length separating the two. Now Philip Scott ducks down pit road. He'll relinquish the lead to DeBarro and Canizaro. So many vowels. But as someone whose name is Giaquinto, I feel their pain. DeBarro opens up about a second over Canizaro. 2 seconds back is this guy, the 82 of Tim Johnston. John Daniels on a different strategy in fourth. And then just behind him is Danny White with about 20, almost 30 lap fresher tires. .11 laps remain. Great battle taking place right now. White gets the inside, Daniels sideways, White sideways. No one's cars are driving right. Philip Scott, you just saw there, got back up to 6th after getting around Jamar Dumas. Let's take a look at that one. Just fresher tires. This battle still raging on for fourth rather. Daniels right now over top of White. 9 laps to go. DeBarro's opened up a 2-second gap over John Cannizzaro Jr. Right now, though, this is the best battle on the track. White to the inside. Daniels outside. A little bit of contact, a little more contact. So now Daniels catches the wall on the outside. Oh, they touch. Both of them in the wall. But we're going to stay green. Let's take another look at that one. What had happened there between the 44 and the 02? Yeah, it just looked like the 44 was a little slower than the 02 was expecting. And they made contact and had to get out of it. Now coming to 5 to go, Anthony DeBarro driving away with it. Do you think we're getting another yellow? That is the other question I pose to you. Four to go. Now Johnston has caught Cannizzaro. Wild Child out there certainly making things interesting as Johnston gets around him. Three to go. Great racing all night long here in the TNR series. Now 2. Philip Scott has caught John Daniels. Don't think he's going to have enough time to get around him. But Anthony DeBarro started on pole, the championship leader coming into tonight's race. White flag in the air. 1 mile away from claiming yet another victory on the season. And to try to open up that gap over the 0-2 of Daniels. DeBarro won at Talladega last week. Coming across the line, Anthony DeBarro is going to win at Phoenix. Tim Johnston comes home second. John Cannizzaro comes home third. Danny White in fourth. Philip Scott fifth. John Daniels spins across the line in sixth. Jamar Dumas comes home seventh. Jason Schue, Jonathan Gaston, 8th, 9th, and Ace House comes home in P10. As now DeBarro going to make his way around and celebrate in front of the fans. see if we could start pulling some drivers to get them ready to go for our interview. DeBarro burns it down. Let's catch up with our third place finisher, driver, the number 77, John Canizaro Jr. And John, well, third place finish, but definitely not the result we were expecting, seeing those great battles between you and DeBarro all race long. Talk us about that battle there, right around halfway especially.
I had a great about 20 lap car, I'd say, and then I feel like story of my career, everything just kind of went downhill, and it got loose, it got tight, it got loose again, and the good news is I was able to keep DeBar off my outside. The problem was I just couldn't get power down to, keep a run on him, so I don't know what problem, if he was having the same problem or not below me, but he decided that my rear bumper was merely a joke, and he got into me, but in all seriousness, it was just a complete accident, and it had some fun to the race. Kind of gets a little bit boring running around up front all day.
It definitely was a great show out there for you guys, putting on one heck of a clinic, and the fact that after that spin, you were back in what, 8th, 9th, something like that, fought your way back up towards the front. Yellow, obviously pitting and all that kind of stuff happened, and you cycled around. You were looking like you were in a pretty good position. Did you just kind of run the tires off there at the end?
I restarted about 10th, right after I spun pit roads open. I'm going, oh, great, perfect. I didn't have to do a full lap on these things. It's just, I drove it so hard trying to get back to Daniels because I didn't want to let him get too far out, and let DeBarro come up right behind me. And then now we're 4 wide going across the line trying to get the lead from each other. We're all on old tires, so I kind of torched him trying to get to him. And by the end of the race, he had already pit. Johnson had better. He took 2 tires, I think, and just I was all over the racetrack. I think I had 4 flat tires. I was on ice. It didn't feel good.
So what you're saying is the car was driving perfectly all race long.
Driving just as the Gen 4 should.
Well, John, next week, season finale at Homestead. What are your thoughts going in the last race of the season?
Homestead's not one of my greatest tracks, even though I love it a lot. I love the fact that you can have an outside line. Just something about it I can't quite get the grasp of, and I'm pretty sure DeBarro knows it pretty well. He knows all these tracks pretty well, probably better than I'll ever understand them. So does Johnson and everybody else. But another nice solid finish. I seem to be having a lot of bad luck with this new car, so something new might pop out next week, and it might also be hand painted. Who knows?
Oh, well, we're looking forward to seeing that, because this 77 is a beautiful machine, but we're looking forward to seeing what your painter is going to be able to put up for next week.
Yep, always up to Tyler.
All right, well, John, congrats again on a 3rd place finish. Before we let you go, I'm sure you have some shout outs, so let's hear them.
You from on the broadcast, you're up here a little bit of alone today, so I'm sure it was a little bit difficult once we got spread out, but you always do a great job up here, and we always appreciate that. Garrett, everybody that does TNR. It's a small league sometimes, but it's a great league. We put on the best racing we can, and I think we entertain everybody sometimes better than bigger leagues do. We have quality over quantity, but DeBarro, Johnson, all those guys in the field, they always put on a great race. They teach me a lot. Obviously my father, everybody else that's watching. I'm kind of on a high today. I did win my bowling match before I started racing today, so I got 2 good things going for me today.
Well, there you go, John. Congrats again on 3rd place. Congrats on the win in the bowling match, and good luck next week at Homestead.
Thank you.
All right, that's John Canizaro, our 3rd place finisher rather, and now joining us is our 2nd place finisher, driver of the number 82 machine, Tim Johnston. And Tim, congratulations there on P2. Talk us through your race. A little quiet race, but just kind of running right around the top 3 pretty much all night.
Yeah, I had a pretty decent car in practice. Didn't show it in qualifying. For some reason, I couldn't get speed out of it on during qualifying. But outside of that, just a pretty low key race. Kind of wanted to just log some laps and finished after the disaster I had last week at Talladega.
Yeah, it was certainly an interesting one there last week. Talk to us a little bit about that battle between you, DeBarro, and Canizaro there, right around halfway. Everyone's tires just kind of falling apart. 3, almost 4 wide there a couple of times. I'm sure that was, although fun, pretty nerve wracking there in the car.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely tough to pass once the tires got worn out. So the outside could not easily, but hold off any charge from someone on the inside. And then, I guess Ant and John accidentally got together there, and I was almost involved in it. These cars are real hard, especially on old tires, to just stop and turn left. But thankfully, there was just enough room to kind of avoid John spinning, and got the lead, and at least got a 5 bonus points for that one.
Yeah, and especially at the end of the season here, every single point matters. And speaking of, for next weekend, or next Monday rather, the last race of the year coming up on Homestead, what are your thoughts there going into this one?
I'm not sure if it's a day or night race. Kind of hoping it's day. Homestead's always been a fun track. It will be somewhat multi-groove, especially once the tires start wearing out. So I'm thinking that next week at Homestead will be a pretty fun race.
Awesome. And Tim, before we let you go, I'm sure you have some shout outs, so let's hear them.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to all my Dizzy Motorsports teammates, everybody at TNR that puts this on. I know it's a lot of work and a lot of hard work. So thanks to those guys, all the drivers in the series. Everybody seems to race really well. All the fans that tune in, and you guys for putting on a fabulous broadcast every week.
Awesome. Well, Tim, congrats again on P2, and looking forward to seeing you next week at Homestead.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week at the finale.
All right, that's Tim Johnston, our second place finisher. Now I'm going to head down to Victory Lane and chat with our winner of tonight's race here at Phoenix, Anthony DeBarro. And Anthony, congrats again on the win. 2 weeks in a row after Talladega and now here. Talk us through that battle between you and Canizaro there about midway through the race. That was incredible, just until the two of you guys just made a little bit of contact there at the end.
Yeah, I apologize to John there. I got in there a little hard, and I like racing hard, but I don't want to get to the point where one of us is spinning around. I mean, we talked about it, and it was the first time we actually got to the point where one of us were spinning how hard we been racing this year. So it's a lot of fun being around him. As a guy I could trust. Being inches away from him and knowing. We'll get through there, but in this instance, I made a mistake and I got into him, so I apologize to him. I think whoever got out front kind of was going to be the guy in control, because it just was hard to pass when you were on the same tires. You really couldn't get runs on the guy. It was tough getting pinched down, and it was a fun race though. It was I like the varying strategies. Guys pitted there differently. I didn't know how everything was going to work out, if a caution would fall or not. And I was kind of at the same time thinking about the guys I was racing around in points. Watching what they were doing with strategy and trying to base off of that.
Yeah, and talking about points, your point leader coming into this one, and before the race, you had about a 37-point cushion over Daniels. I'm sure that one is going to increase just a bit as you get the win and Daniels finishes back in 6th. What's your mindset now coming into Homestead? One race left. What are you thinking for next week?
It's easy to get into the I could finish here, finish there. You got to be mindful, like you can't crash out. But I think you just got to kind of just been in the same mindset you've been in all year, and just try to go out, win the race, and let the dominoes just fall. But I think we're in a really good spot. Like it might be an instance where I need to just give that 20% on my driving, so I don't end up in a position where I'm in the wall, or because you tank slap the wall and you do some suspension damage, and then you're finished at 14th. That points lead could go away very, very quick.
That is for sure. And Anthony, before we let you go, I'm sure you have some shout outs, so let's hear them.
Yeah, like always, you guys, I love going back and watching the broadcast and catching that angle of things and hearing your input. And the admins, Garrett, for putting this on, and I can't wait to come back to the next season and continue to race here, because it's something I look forward to on after a long day of work on a Monday.
Awesome. Well, Anthony, congrats again on the second place finish, and we're looking forward to seeing you next week at Homestead.
Thank you. You guys have a happy Thanksgiving.
You as well. As that is Anthony DeBarro, our winner here at Phoenix for tonight's race. And man, this was a very, very fun race to call. Let's take a quick look at the results for tonight's race. Anthony DeBarro, you just heard, gets the win over his Dizzy Motorsports teammate in Tim Johnston by about 1.9 seconds. John Canizaro Jr. comes home third, Danny White fourth, Philip Scott rounds out the top five. John Daniels made a very, very different pit strategy just to try to pick up track position. That one didn't work as well as he thought it would. He'll come home in sixth. Jamar Dumas seventh, Jason Schue eighth, Jonathan Gaston in ninth. Ace House rounds out the top 10. Adam Stewart comes home in 11th. Max Cost and Johnny Williams did not start this evening. Well, that will just about do it for us here on the Tabletop Trio Podcast Network. Next Monday night is our next broadcast right here on both YouTube and Twitch for the Total Nonstop Racing League. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back with you next Monday night. Have a great night.